Okay, so there you have it. I'm Reverend Walter Mwambazi, and I'll be walking you through this particular training today. And we're going through the actual Unleashing Your Destiny training. So today's is quite unique because it is about literally showcasing how you create your strategic roadmap. I will be walking you through in great detail to help you understand how to get the best out of the roadmap itself and how to get that going. So quickly, some hard questions. We asked them the other time, but have you ever felt like a round peg in a square hole? Have you been in that situation? How best would you honestly describe your productivity? Is it excellent or is it mediocre? You can answer yourself. Do you dread another day at work? Be honest about that. And are you honestly contributing to the bottom line of your organization or business? And has work lost its meaning, and why are you still there? So these are very deep questions that you need to ask and answer yourself. So these are some hard questions. Of course, those 7 questions we tackled the other day were just as deep. So now we're going to be looking at a strategic master plan that you need to develop that will help you. And in that strategic master plan is knowing your position, determining your destination, having a map, which is of course making a plan, and then taking action, which is being mad, and then monitoring your progress. And I'm going to kind of zoom through these, but in such a way that they'll help you just to know what's going on. So let's begin with knowing your position. As I've spoken before, there are 8 key areas, very, very critical to helping you understand and grow. Spirituality, which is really your higher connection. This has to do with your walk with the higher power. Where is that walk with the higher power? How much are you developing that particular walk? There's quite a bit to this spirituality that meets the eye, but then that's what it is. Then when it comes to your health, there's the health of the body, health of the mind, and health of the spirit. But I want to focus on the body, and there are actually 8 key areas or 8 key teachers or 8 key doctors actually that you need to be aware of, and you need to put your mind into these 8 key areas because a lot of people are ending their lives before time. So it's a very, very important part to also balance. Then we have family, which is where you create your legacy. Very, very important. Most people again here kind of ignore this one until it's too late. It is so important that one ensures that when it comes to family, they never abandon it. Then when it comes to mental, this is your personal development. This is where you develop your value. And in many ways, your value is what determines how much you go on to make. So it's a very critical component to have. Value is critical, and it is developed through your mental capabilities. Then your career, which is your true calling. Remember, value works hand in hand with career. Very, very profound. If you know your value and if you develop yourself correctly, then your true calling is going to get the best it can and see you thrive. So if you're not in the right career, if you feel any of those questions I asked before, it means you're probably off sync. Anyway, we'll go on. Financial is your wealth creation. This is the bit where if you get your mental and career aspects going right, the finances should follow. Now, there are all sorts of principles connected to financial wealth creation, which are quite deep, and we'll get into those at the appropriate time. But for now, that's what you want to know. Social is giving back. This is where now you are taking what you know, what you've learned, who you are, and you're giving back to society with no expectation of any return. Every one of us is a social creature, and we should do this. Then recreation is where you unwind and recuperate, and the word I like most is actually what I'm going to term re-energizing or rejuvenating. Very, very important, because if you don't do this, then you will literally become so wound up like a spring, and that could have a very negative effect on yourself. Now, you also need to understand that in all these things, when it comes to knowing your position, you have to understand your purpose, which is your reason for existing. Why do you believe God put you on this earth? So, then we come to determining your destination, which is where you have your mission. Now, in your mission are 3 key things. Number 1, why do you exist? This is your purpose. This is the reason for being who you are today and being where you are today. This is absolutely paramount. Everything, and I mean everything, hinges on purpose. That's why it's such an important journey. We did go into quite a bit of study in relation to purpose, but we will go much deeper later. Then the second thing in the mission is, whom are you serving? What is your ministry? Who have you been called to serve? And every one of us was born on this earth to be of service. None of us has a gift for ourselves. And when you keep your gift to yourself, it rots. It doesn't flow. It doesn't grow. It doesn't develop. Take your gift and serve your community. Of course, in serving, there's how that is done. So how do you go about accomplishing this service, which is what we call work? And by the way, if you can find a way to make your service pay you, whoa, you have hit the jackpot, because then you're going to see success. So most of you have these hobbies and likings, which you always put at the bottom of your CV. That's the clue to your calling. But I'm not going to go into that now because time doesn't permit. Now comes the issue of mindset. Now, I want you to understand that also your mindset plays a very, very big role in determining how you go on to succeed. Remember, the way it's defined as the way one looks at something, and then based on that goes on to think, act, and behave. And in mindset, there's a very profound truth which I'm going to talk about. It's called the mindset loop. Now, when it comes to the mindset loop, whatever mindset you have, let's imagine you have a mindset, whatever thinking, whatever position that you have in your mind, this is going to affect your behavior, because your behavior is directly proportional to whatever you think and feel in your mind. This in turn is going to determine the kind of action you're going to bring out, and then that will bring about results. Those results will then affect your performance. And of course, then that performance is going to then feed into your mindset. Now watch this. Here's where it gets interesting. You have actually two scenarios here. You have what we're going to call the positive and the negative mindset scenario. If your mindset is set positively, then you will find that you're going to actually struggle in your life. If, for instance, let me show you this. If you believe that you're born to do something and you do it well, it will affect your behavior. Your behavior will be, so let's imagine you start something and you're like, nah, I can't do this. I'm not really good at this. I've never been gifted. This thing can't work. Then what's happening? Your actions are going to be iffy based on the behavior. Those actions are going to bring results which will mess with your performance, which will make you go, you see, I knew it. I knew it would never work. And then what does that do? It affects your mindset. So you go into it with a worse attitude, which affects your actions, results even worse. And then you tell yourself, you see, I knew it. I could never succeed in this. And on the other hand, you go in saying, I am really good at this. Behavior is positive. Actions are awesome. Results are phenomenal. Performance is great. You go, you see, I knew it. And then it gets better. So we call this the mindset loop. And for those who go in positively, they work positively. Those who go in negatively, they work negatively. Now let's talk quickly about the job versus work paradigm. Another very, very interesting, truth here. In order to excel in whatever you choose to do, it is critical you discover purpose. Purpose is literally the cornerstone of your success. So if you do not know your purpose, it is definitely going to mess with the way you're going to succeed in what you do. So purpose is critical. And then besides purpose comes another area. See, purpose is the foundation on which your mission and your vision are born. All right, so if you don't know your mission and your vision, is because probably you don't know your purpose. Now, without purpose, life becomes an aimless existence, and it can be quite frustrating. So in other words, if you're not working with purpose, you're doing it all wrong. It's the classic example of the misused hammer. Now, let's go further and talk about the job versus work paradigm, because I want to really define this. So excellence can only occur where passion is present. So remember, excellence is the birth of something done right and done consistently well and improved over time with a very high sense of passion and pride. Remember, passion can only occur where there is clarity of purpose. So where purpose is not understood, you are going to have problems. In fact, it's Miles Monroe who said, where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. Clarity of purpose is the result of knowing why you exist. This is where now your company mission and your personal mission are critical. So if you don't know your clarity of purpose, my friend, you're in trouble. And this is where burnout comes. So Mark Twain said, the two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why you were born. I think this is phenomenally true. Now, going on, let's continue with the job versus work paradigm and quickly look at the next thing. What is passion really? So of course, look at the photographer taking pictures and in the midst of lava and it's all burning. That's passion. Okay? It is an emotion one can barely control concerning something or someone. Three things that determine passion are: what do you love to do? Number two, what do you hate? And number three, what bothers you immensely? So ask yourself, within your community, within your setting, within your own personal life, what are the things that you love? What is the thing that you hate? And what is the thing that bothers you immensely within your life and within your environment? Okay, now continuing with the job versus work paradigm, the big question: why do you do what you do? Remember, there is a difference between a hireling and a steward. So let's talk about a bit about the hireling. A hireling is an individual that purely works for money. These are people that are literally, from the day they come into doing something, it's all about money, and they're basically mercenaries, for lack of a better word. As soon as the money disappears, they are not there. A steward, on the other hand, is what you call an owner manager. So it's a manager, owner, or owner manager. They own something, but they own it and manage it on behalf of the true owner. A steward is very different. And that's why Jesus said that the difference in a mercenary or a hireling and the true son is that when the wolf comes to attack, the hireling runs away. But the steward, the true son, will stay and give his life for the sheep. He will fight those wolves because for him it matters that those sheep stay alive. We also must realize that all of us must become salt and light. This is something that is taught in scripture. You see, you have to understand that the reason you're on earth is to influence society. Salt influences, light illuminates with knowledge. So ask yourself, are you and what you're doing bringing flavor to your society, to your community, to your circle? Furthermore, we must go to the third thing: fruitfulness and multiplication. Remember, fruit feeds through service. Service solves problems. So every one of us is a gift. Every one of us has fruit. And it is the goodness of your fruit that determines how the market or how the place you're at or your community responds to you. If your fruit is sour and bitter, people are not coming back. And this is very, very important. I need to emphasize this a bit. Furthermore, multiplication duplicates and liberates through empowerment. So you must remember that when you're multiplying yourself, you're empowering other people. And not only are you empowering other people, you're leading them to a point where they now become a duplicate of yourself. Very, very powerful. When fruit falls to the ground, it has seed. Seed goes into the earth produces a tree. The tree produces fruit. That's multiplication in its truest sense. So remember, the purpose for existing is to serve others. So back to the question, who are you serving? Back to the question, are you a hireling or are you a steward? Deep questions that require answers. Going on again to talk more about the job versus work paradigm, you must find a way to monetize your passion. So now, yes, you've discovered what you're passionate about. How then do you monetize that? So your purpose leads to your mission. That's why you have to first understand your purpose, because when you understand your purpose, your mission will automatically come into play. Your mission leads to your work. Can you imagine that? Okay, so your mission leads to your work. And then your work, this is again very, very important. Your work is the process of executing your mission and inevitably leads to your vision. So have you seen that? So monetize. So remember, purpose leads to mission. Your mission leads to your work. Your work is the process of executing your mission and inevitably leads to your vision. All right, continuing. So you need to find ways to monetize your work. This is why, based on my description before, you do not want a situation where your work is a drug, because then it's not even work, it's a job, and then you're a hireling. But when your work is an expression of your mission, it changes everything. Now, if you can find a way to make that work pay you, then you're home and dry. Okay, excellence is born that way. See, by monetizing your work, you effectively create a business. Okay, that's very, very important. All right. So I see Mr. Shower has raised his hand. I guess you're agreeing with what I'm saying. We continue. All right. Then also, by effectively establishing systems and processes, you create an enterprise. Have you seen that? So remember, find a way to monetize your work. Monetizing your work creates a business. Effective establishing of systems and processes create an enterprise. Okay? And by duplicating your business effectively, meaning eliminating you from the equation, you create an empire. That is extremely important for everyone to understand, because if you don't do this, you will always be your worst enemy. You will be in the way of your company growing beyond you. And even for yourself as an individual, this is still a truth. All right, so we continue with our job versus work paradigm. Let's look at a number of very, very powerful statements I've come to love. Jobs are what you do because you have to. Work is what you do because you love to. That's number one. Have you seen that? So one is a necessity, the other is a labor of love. One is a necessity, the other is a labor of love. We continue. Jobs are what you do to survive. Okay, we need to mute your mic there. Hello, we need you to mute your mic. Sorry. Let's just mute you. Okay, so Onesmo, I need to mute you. We'll bring you back on afterwards. All right, so continuing. So jobs are what you do to survive. Work is what you do to thrive. Have you seen that? So jobs are about survival. Work is about thriving. Then continuing with this truth, jobs are what you do to earn a living. Work is what you do to earn your destiny. Are you seeing the difference? So jobs are about a living. Work is about destiny. Very, very nice. Then number 4, jobs are fueled by needs. Work is fueled by passion. Have you seen that? So jobs are always about needs, and that's why it's about the money. Whereas work is always about a labor of love, and therefore passion is the driver. Always. Passion is your driver. So continuing again with this, with the 5th one, jobs have a salary as their incentive. Work has destiny as its incentive. So I've got basically 9 minutes to conclude this. But remember, jobs have salaries. Work has destiny. I love that. I love that. And that's why you know, because the moment salaries get out of the equation, job seekers leave. True workers stay, because it's not about the money, it's about the passion. That's why if you're doing a business because you want to make money, forget it. You'll never succeed. But if you're doing a business because you're passionate about what you're doing, it'll take you very far. In other words, you're answering to purpose. So here's some deep introspection to think about, okay? Let's ask ourselves, let's talk about purpose. Does your work align with your reason for existing? This is what you got to ask yourself, even now as you listen to this presentation. And by the way, remember, this will be available as a recording, so if you keep dropping out, don't worry, we'll still make this possible for you. So does your work align with your purpose? Deep, deep question that you have to understand. So if it doesn't, then oops, big question. If not, why is it not aligning? And then, are you truly called where you are right now? Or is it just survival business? Is it all about just the money? And are you a hireling or a steward? And this is deep. You have to think about this. If they stop paying you today, would you continue or would you stop? So if you stop, then it means you're not in your calling. It means you're completely misplaced. And remember, again, I quote Dr. Miles Monroe, where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. Okay, so we continue. Let's look at your beliefs real quick. Do you believe in your capacity to deliver as an individual wherever you are right now? If you don't have capacity, how will you build that capacity? Are you doing it because of the job, or are you doing it because it's work? Are you doing it because it's your mission? Are you doing it because it's your purpose? Or are you doing it because you're a hireling to make more money? Okay. Can you uphold the ethics and standards of your profession and honestly defend your organization when it's called to do so? So this is about what you stand for. This is what is about your values. Can you live by this? Is integrity real about you? You know, integrity is what you are when nobody's looking. Can you live by that? Would you be willing to die for what you believe? Or do you have a price? And again, for me, this is where integrity, faithfulness, and sacrifice come in. Are you willing to die for what you believe, or do you have a price? And for me, what's the price? The price is I've started my business and then you go back to a job. For me, that's your price. That means you don't believe strong enough in what you're doing, and that's why you've gone back to a job. Because if it's a labor of passion, you plan so well so that when you exit for good. Remember, it's Napoleon Hill who said that unless we burn our bridges, we will never progress. But when you burn your bridge, you've got nowhere to go back to. So you have to succeed. I love that. So many people are not willing to burn bridges. And that's why for me, their price is that they're not willing to die. Because if they were willing to die, they would reject every single offer to stick their course. Okay, so we continue. Mission. So you know this. Why do you exist? You know these already. We covered them. Whom are you serving, and how will you be effective in serving them? What's your purpose? What's your service, and how will you work that out? And then let's come to the goals, okay? Now, when it comes to your goals, I like this little picture because it just exemplifies so much. One of the best examples I always like when it comes to goals is the illustration of a cyclist. There's one cyclist who cycled with a plan, and there's another who did not. And they were all racing to finish a very long race. And the one that had the plan was able to finish and still have energy, but the one that did not just got more and more tired. Because every time he asked as he cycled, they told him, just round the corner. And that round the corner just took forever. So he got tired because he had not anticipated in advance and planned in advance how far he would go. A personal life plan makes a massive difference when it comes to productivity and excellence. If you want to know where you want to go and how to get there, a personal life plan is everything. And I'll kind of talk about that real brief just now. Now, when it comes to your vision, where do you picture yourself in 5 years' time? What will you see when you get there? And will it relate in any way to your work today? And will it impact your profession and leave a legacy for posterity? Because at the end of the day, posterity and legacy is about operating in your dominion, in your space. And when you operate in that space, you leave a mark that is profound. So that's the question. Right, so here are 3 detractors to destiny, and I'll be real quick about these, really, really quick. We've got about 4 minutes. The first one is what I call detractors time travel, which is living in the past. For most people, they go through an incident in their life, and this incident becomes such a negative factor that it becomes the definer of where they go from then on. Everything they do is defined in the light of that event. Unfortunately, this is a very bad place to be, and a lot of people are here. That's why a lot of people don't take risks. That's why a lot of people don't move in the direction of their destiny, because they are too afraid based on a bad experience in the past. The difference in the rich and the poor is that the poor have bad experiences whilst the rich have learning experiences. So which is it for you? A bad experience or a learning experience? If you learn from your mistakes, you will definitely do better next time. But if you don't learn, you will never progress. The second one, which messes most people, is what we call the shiny looking alternative. We call this the shiny detractor. And for a lot of people, they fall for this. There you are on your journey to your destiny, and then all of a sudden comes an offer, and you go, okay, let me just go a bit into the offer, and then when I'll raise more money, then I'll come back to this. Most people never come back. In fact, let me give you the statistics. 90% never come back. Why? Because where you go, you grow roots, you become familiar, it becomes a place of familiarity, and that's how you become stuck for good. Very few people can actually come back. That's why, ideally, you don't want a detour. Stick with your path, stay with your path, and go where you're supposed to go. Forget about the shiny detour. But very few have that resolve. Then comes the third one, which is the sunk cost fallacy. And that is whenever a past expenditure distorts your decision-making process, a lot of people fail to make sober decisions today because of an expense that they incurred yesterday. And there are three things that normally happen. There's the waste not principle, where you have put in time, you've put in money, you've put in effort, and you can see this thing is not working, but you keep putting more money, more time, and more effort. That's the first sign you're suffering from sunk cost fallacy. By the way, if you're not an accountant, sunk costs are costs that go into a business that can never be recovered once you come out of that business. Examples include salaries, rentals, licensing fees. These are things that when you put money into, if you decide to change your mind about that business, you never recover those costs. They're called sunk costs. They go in, they never come out. So most people suffer from the sunk cost fallacy when past expenses and expenditure distort decision making. So the first one is the waste not principle. I've already spent 5 years in this, I might as well stick in there. That's the first. The second is the preference for risky gambles to certain losses. You know very well it's not gonna work. All the facts are telling you this thing is dead in the water. But mulimbiki achabe, mungo yes achabe. Sorry to use the nyanja, but it just had to drive that point across. So most people just stay in there even when they know chichakanga, but they're just in there. Then number three, justification of behavior. Now, because the thing is not working, they want to save face, so they keep justifying why they are there. These three, my friends, are the sign that you're suffering from a sunk cost fallacy. Just call it a spade, cut your losses, and move on. You know what exactly is cutting your losses? The Bible speaks about it. It says, if your eye causes you to sin, chop it, pluck it out. If your limb causes you to sin, chop it off. For you're better off getting into the kingdom of heaven with one eye and lame or maimed than with your whole body to go to hell. And for me, in business, in life, a lot of people do this. They endure insanity in the name of no, maybe to work. No, for me, they're suffering from sunk costs. Cut your losses and move on. Okay? It happens. Such is life. So, you need to take a bold step, okay? For me, I'm going to mention this to those of you who are part of this training. We've gotten really pretty much to the end of this, so I'm going to end the recording. Thanks. For those of you who've listened, go back to the notes that you listen more. The recording will be available very soon. All right, so let me just say this again. So for those of you that want to be part of this program, I've just restarted the recording because I got a question from Mr. Marpet. And you want to go deeper than just what I've said, or you want serious guidance beyond just these lessons, there is this coaching program here. It's called the 1 Hour Strategic Master Plan, but the truth is actually 10 sessions. And in these 10 sessions, we go through a very detailed breakdown, as you can see here. We go through each aspect of your training, complete with notes and numbers and what have you. And at the end of all these lessons, you will have your strategic roadmap, the 1 year strategic roadmap, and then there's also another one which will give you your life plan, which is like your blueprint. So you'll have two of them. You can go ahead in case you want to ask something else, Ramwape.
Yeah, and how much? You said it's a course that runs for how long?
Yes, it runs for 10 sessions. So 10 sessions, each session is about an hour and a half, and we do it over a 10-week period because the assignments are quite deep. So of course, a serious person can finish them in a day, but I know from experience there's a lot of thinking involved because it's about you. So it's not something you're going to go and Google. So you have to go and really search within yourself. So it's going to take a while before you really get the full picture of this program. So it's 10 weeks long. I'm going to be sharing the pricings via the wall on our what you call it on WhatsApp. So I'll give you the pricings there. Okay. Yes. Any other question before I allow my brother Pastor Onesphore here?
No other question.
Okay, let me mute you for now. Okay, Onesphore, how are you?
Yes, I'm good. How are you, Rev?
Brilliant.
Hello, I'm Sam. Good. How are you?
Extremely
It's
well.
going very fine, we thank God.
Okay, that's good.
Yes, I wanted to find out one thing. These teachings are really very valuable. I was trying to think, can you create a way whereby people who have taken these teachings are certified by you in one way or another, so that at least we are certified for taking these teachings?
Yes, actually, let me show you something. When we begin the teachings, I have actually my folder here, and where are those now?
Okay.
Master Strategic Plan Mentees. I'm just trying to see. So we have a series. When starting the coaching, let me see if I've got the pledges and the graduates. Okay, so when they start, those of you that actually pay for the course, if you decide you want to run with this and you pay for it, you are going to get a thing like this. Let me just zoom out so that you see it. This is what you get. You see that? So this is going to be the
I see.
Yes, the document. So this is a gentleman, and it's signed, of course, and dated myself and yourself. This is for you saying that we're starting a journey. I commit to your excellence if you commit to going through the resources I provide. So when you finish the course,
sure,
and I'm convinced you've finished it, you've actually got proper, roadmap and what have you. Then there is the graduation. I produced this. Let me show you. This is what you get now. Okay. So this is your. Have you seen that? Certificate of completion.
Yeah, I've seen.
Yes, complete with the date and everything, signature of the person. So these are all sent to you, and then now you can use that. So see, so this says you're satisfactorily completed the 1 year strategic master plan and hereby presented with this certificate of completion, and is now expected to bring about the realization of what is written therein within the 1 year plan from this day. So that's what I expect you to do.
Sure.
That's what I expect you to do when you've done and finished this. So we usually are expecting you to run through the entire program then. So that's what that that particular one is. Any other question?
No other question. I just wanted to find out if you could share with us the prices via maybe the WhatsApp or somewhere else, or tell us if there is a specific time when somebody has to start, or it runs all the time.
No, what I do is, because I have a subsidy. There are courses where you can start anytime if you pay. Okay, wait, go and ask me tomorrow. Sorry, I'm with my. Oh, so what you do, we will put a program for you. There are two. In one, you pay directly, and then it's a one-on-one, but that tends to be a premium price. So that one is not restricted by time. The second one is a group one. So the group one is subsidized because obviously there's more people training, so the overall price is lower. And then we train as a group week after week. So here's what's going to happen. We'll have, and I have about 2 minutes to go before I end this call. So we'll have a group scenario on WhatsApp where I'll continue sharing, but I'm not going to go deep, unlike those who pay. So those who pay will get very deep lessons, and then the rest will just be getting your basic stuff. So, but then because it's a group, there's the savings that are going to be made, obviously, because you will not pay as much as if you paid directly.
Okay.
Yes. So
thank you so much. Otherwise,
go on.
I'm saying that thank you so much. Otherwise, I'm enjoying the lessons, and I really can't wait to start, learning these things in depth. They are very important.
Indeed. Thanks a lot, Onespo. So what I'll do now, thanks both of you for coming through. I've muted you. Tawani, you came in very late, so obviously there's nothing much you can do there. But what we're going to do now, I'm going to end this call. And remember, it'll be available as a recording. So it will be shared on the wall in the next maybe hour or two. But it will be available, so everybody else will be able to watch it and then get what's going on. Then we'll get on to discussing the pricing and everything else, and then pick it up from there and go item by item. But thanks to all of you for coming through, and we're definitely going to pick it up from the wall. Thanks for being there.